Okay, alright. Add it up. Okay, alright. Add it up. Add it up.
Well, hello. I know you are surprised to see me. So let me, first of all, welcome everybody who is new to the group. I hope that you have enjoyed your vacation. I don't know if anybody was running the group while I was away. I've been gone for about a month. So let me explain what's been going on because I feel like you are owed an explanation. So I actually went through about a month of depression. I am not better, but I am at a point where I have started to get therapy for what I am going through. So I had some anxiety and some depression that got into some really dark spaces where I kind of fell off for quite a bit, as you guys already know. And there have been some family issues that were going on as well. And during that time, you guys didn't get a chance to see any of that. So I just want to say thank you for those people that checked on me, that wanted to know how I was doing and honestly cared. And even those that were in the darkness with me, thank you so much. We are getting better together. So with that being said, if this is your first time and you're just coming to the group, look in your bottom right hand corner, there is a timer. That timer goes through how much time we have. We do 45 minutes on, we do a 5-minute break, we come back for 5 minutes where we just kind of quiz ourselves really quickly, and then after that's done, we are out of here. It is 8:03 like we normally get started, so we're just going to go ahead and start our process. This is where we left off before I went and left. We were talking about relational databases, and just to refresh anybody's mind who's really trying to figure out what's going on, the relational databases will typically have what's called a primary key, and the primary keys, what he was talking about when we left, were these kind of what I called chicken feet, and how the chicken feet connect. And I believe the last time that we talked, he was going into what the 3 chicken feet mean versus like a 2 chicken feet. So with that, We'll go ahead and kind of jump in. And the way that this runs, if this is your first time here, is we typically run the study group. You can enter any place that you are. There is, you can easily enter the, like any questions that you might have. You can quickly, you know, do whatever it is that you need to do with that. And we should be okay. You should be all right. If you enter any question that you have, that'll come to me and it'll tell me any comments or something. If you want me to change a page or go back or something like that, you can do it that way. That's typically how this has been run. Right now, I am just really tired, and a lot of it's just emotional tiredness. There's some things going on in extended parts of my family right now, but I wanted to be here. It was important for me to get back on the board and to give you guys the content that you deserve to have. Kind of our first question, people are asking me about school. So I'll kind of update. I have maintained an A in school. And I am, if you don't know, I'm in school at SNHU. I'm working on my bachelor's degree in data analytics. And so school has been going well. I just finished up my like an intro IT course. So that's finished. I got an A in that class, and I am here studying. So we are studying, in case you are a person who needs a book, we are studying this book. Okay, this is by Mike Chapple. This is where we're studying out of. This is just the digital version of it. It makes it a lot easier to read when people can just see it on the screen as opposed to the hard copy. But if you are a hard copy person, they do sell this on Amazon. I do have a copy, and somebody asked me what I was going to do with it when I get done with the course. If one of you guys that happen to come inside of here are interested in it, you let me know, because I have several copies of it. One of them I got as a gift, and the other one I bought myself. So feel free. I might just give it away at the end of the course, like once I've passed the course, and then I can give it to somebody and gift it to them. I don't want anything from it. I just want people to be able to have the content that they need in order to pass this class. Because who knows, this particular course may change somebody's life. Them getting this particular certification may change their life, upgrade their life. I don't know. So I just want to be there for people to give them the content that they deserve. So, okay, let's move on to here. Oh, we did do this. Okay. Okay, I thought we had did this part, and we were trying to take, like, we were dealing with, he had this veterinary clinic, and we were doing the contents from the veterinary clinic, if my memory serves me correctly, but don't quote me on that. Okay, so you guys can hear me or you can't hear me. I'm gonna go with you can hear me. Um, so my hope is that you can hear me just fine. It may not be the best audio, but I'll do the best that I can. Hopefully you guys can hear me just fine and the audio is solid for you. Okay, so we are going to pick up right here far as email templates are concerned. Like if you wanted to do an email template, you wanted to take the data that was in the database and pull that information into like sending out an email. And we have all received those emails where someone has entered our last name as our first name, and then all of a sudden you'll get dear, hail Giovanni, and it's like, they don't realize that Hale is a last name and Giovanni is a first. Someone entered it incorrectly in the database, and so as it's going out in this newsletter, it would pull from that database, and if the database is incorrect, your email is going to be incorrect. Okay, so most of the people that are probably here going through this part of the class. Okay, I got you. What's not clear on it? Is it maybe it's, let me see if it's because it's not large enough for you guys. Let me know if that's better. If that's better, just let me know. Give me a thumbs up or something. Let me know. I don't know if you guys can see this. I have it in full screen, but all right. So he said the screen was not clear. So if the screen's not clear, just make sure that you guys let me know. My hopes is that it gets better. It may just be I'm hoping that it was just the fact it wasn't in full screen. Normally I have it in full screen for you guys. But okay, so we talked about, just keep me posted on the screen size, okay? So I know what's going on. Okay, so we were talking about if you are in here, then you probably already know what SQL is, so I don't need to explain it. However, there are people that are here that are studying that they have no idea what SQL even means. So when he's talking about in here, he's saying like to pull from the database, right? You need to be able to query is what it's called. So you need to be able to query. So what I try to think about with that is if you are querying something, we do it all the time, like on our phones is a good example of that. Whether you have an Android or Apple phone, doesn't matter, but think about it from this perspective. When you go into your phone, you query out a telephone number, for example. Okay, that number is stored either in the cloud or on your phone. Okay, but either way, you go in and you're like, I'm looking for my mom's or my dad's or my sister or my brother's telephone number. Okay, you will usually go in and look up their name. That's a query. So in this case, this is just querying a really large database, and the language that you use is called SQL. So we just don't think about it the same way on our phones, but that's a way I would think about like the SQL language is what you would, for example, type into your phone to pull up your mom's telephone number. You use a language, your mom's name, for example. You're searching by name. You do the same thing in SQL, and he gets to that a little bit later. If you took the earlier portions of this when I was streaming it, when we took his course, you'll see later on that he goes into SQL. Not extreme, but he does go into understanding like you need to know that you query with SQL. So we are going to highlight this, and you're probably asking me, Gio, what's this highlighting structure? Like, what are you doing here? Okay. Typically we will have open our notes too. We have in the past. These are the notes. And the way that the notes go is typically something that we would have in yellow, okay, would be something that would be a conversational piece. So if we're going through and we're like, hey, look, I need to, know what XYZ is, or this is something that could be on the test, I will typically highlight it in yellow. Okay, if we go through and we're doing something in, say, we want to later on, we're going to take a quiz on it, that's pink. Blue is, so if we were to do like a blue color, for example, okay, blue would be something like that we would normally want to explain to a family member. This might be something that you might have highlighted as blue when we were talking about SQL, because if someone were to ask you, what does a data analyst do? And you were trying to explain, let's say they understood what a data analyst does, and they were like, well, what language do you do that in? And you could say, oh, we query databases through SQL. And that might be something you write in blue. And finally, orange is something I use for my personal self where I write my own notes. So that's what the color schemes are that you see on the screen, in case this is your first time. The foreign key part, I still have to go through to further understand what I understand that within each database there's a key that connects them. I get that part, but then understanding what a foreign key is still. And again, but I've been away for about a month and I didn't study any of that time. So I'm definitely going to have to look up like a foreign key and restudy foreign key. And what I'm talking about is this. So in databases, okay, this little part, I don't know that you can even really see this little part. So they don't give you a way to really see the figure. I wish they did where you could actually just see it a lot larger. But nonetheless, inside of here, there is a key, and that's what these PK and FK, like foreign key and primary key, that's what the PK is, primary key. FK is the foreign key. And so there's always a key that connects each database. So this is a animal ID, and you notice an animal person, there's an animal ID here. So then what connects this key, what connects this database to this database? So you know what animal goes with what person. The only way to do that is to have something that is joined in between them. Okay, and so I just like understanding what a primary key versus a like a non-primary key, that I have to study a bit more. You guys may know it, but like I'm super rusty on what that means. Which shows why referential integrity is crucial to enforcing data quality. Oh, don't worry. I'll let you know when you have 5 minutes, so you won't have to worry about the like 5 minute portion. Don't worry yourself about that. It'll be typically I'll be warned. It'll let me, I can look at the time. You guys can look at the time as well. But I usually audibly, because some people are actually just listening to this, or they'll listen to the audio portion of it, so they don't really need to know about the 5 minutes because it's all, I've already streamed it. They just want to listen to it later on. So that's why I'm constantly usually talking, and to make sure that people have data that's coming from the book or something I think might be very useful. Okay, so we have, again, you can't really like see this. Like you can go here, but you can't see this any larger unless like you make it larger like this. Then yes, you can see it, but then this is still small. But I suppose. Okay, so I don't need that large. That's just it's just incredibly irritating to look at that size. Okay, so suppose you try to add a row to the middle table specifying 6 for the animal ID. You couldn't do that because there is already a 6. Okay. Okay, so you couldn't exactly do, you couldn't exactly have animal 6, even though over here, you guys can't see it, so I'll explain what he's saying is if you wanted to add, so there's a person named Alexander that has a cat. Um, and so then they're trying to do the key in the center, and they're trying to say 6. So animal ID being 6, I don't understand how they could have more than one animal ID 6. Oh, but it has a different person ID. There is a record with animal 6 for a cat named Alexander. When a similar check happens in person ID, there is no row corresponding to the person ID 999 in the table to the right. Therefore, adding a new row fails and the relationship between the tables is maintained. Okay, so he's saying that the reference numbers in the right table that has all of our corresponding numbers, that particular location won't have that. It'll go through the system, will try to go and say, okay, well, we have Alexander, like this is animal 6 in their database named Alexander, and it's a cat. Particular breed, so forth and so on, and then it says that goes to a table that is in between your two tables, and here is saying you couldn't use the person ID 999 because in the right side, which is the person ID table, that person ID table doesn't have a 999, so it can't correspond to anybody over there, so the whole thing would fail. That's the referential integrity he's talking about. Okay, so for storing data, relational databases are complicated to operate at scale. A database administrator is a highly trained person who understands how database software interacts with computer hardware. A DBA looks after how the database uses the underlying storage, memory, and processing resources assigned to the database. Oh, we did have a class, I think, before on like ERDs and being able to read ERDs. So if you want to know about ERDs and how to read them, you can go back. I would say probably like 4 streams before when we were in his actual classes where he was teaching, and he talked about ERDs. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, got that set up now. In my Google class that I was taking, that one was talking about non-relational databases and how the structure is set up. Okay, so a key value database is one of the simplest ways of storing data. Data is stored in a collection of keys and their corresponding values. Okay. The database that corresponds with the key can be any structured or unstructured data type. It also can scale to accommodate many simultaneous requests without impacting performance. Interesting. Okay. This is actually a very good example. I am definitely going to highlight this because I think that this gives you like key value databases. And he was using like a music streaming service, like for example, like a Spotify, and you go in and you're looking for a specific song or a specific artist. There has already been a key value that's been given to that, and that's how you can look it up. The value is restricted to a specific structured format. Okay, well, that makes sense. Actually, that's a very good question. So the question that's been posed is if a document is stored in like a JSON file. Again, if you just found this and you just found this particular video and you don't know what a JSON file is, my recommendation, just look it up on YouTube. They'll give you like a quick skinny of what a JSON file. That's JSON file. Okay, not Jason, JASON. Okay, so just know that part. The question is, if a JSON file is stored inside of a database, is the contents of the JSON file searchable? Like if you were thinking about it being on a Word document that's stored on your computer. Okay, are you able to look for words within that JSON file, or look for words within that Word document? That's actually, I don't know the answer to that. Okay, so let's see if we can find it. The document itself is a JSON object containing details about the person. With a document database, it is possible to retrieve all profiles that match a specific zip code. This searching ability is possible because the database understands the document structure and can search based on data within the document. So in this case, the answer is yes. You would be able to search within the document. Like when you're searching, for example, on the Mac that I'm on right now, if I wanted to search for a specific file, I would use Spotlight, and I would just type in whatever I need to find, and it would start looking through my whole Mac and online as well to find, try to get me the answer that I need. And it's saying when you're searching the database, if there is a JSON file, for example, the name, like a song, so you would have the artist, the song file itself, the system will be able to go in and know that you're trying to find a specific file. However you search for it, either by the name or by the artist, and then that will pull that information so that it will retrieve it for you. Okay, let's see. No, I'm not at all bored by you guys. It's I just have, as I've been dealing with this anxiety and the depression, there's been a lot of like the sleep issues. So I've had to modify my sleep to get better sleep, better quality sleep. But in the midst of when this was starting, I think for a lot of guys don't really talk about their mental health a lot, or at least I should say the people that I've been around. I can't speak for everybody, but I can just say the men that I have been around or had access to don't really talk about a lot of mental health. And I remember when I first started going through this issue, I started to realize I didn't have a lot of males to turn to. I had a lot of females in my life that I could reach out to and that could be supportive, but I didn't have a lot of males that I would be able to call and say, hey, by the way, this is where I am. I'm in this dark place, and that person would be able to be, would even want to go in that dark place with me. So that affected a lot of my sleep because I dealt with a lot of this up until I got to a point where I was like, I can't deal with this by myself. And so that is part of, you will come back from it if you open up and allow someone to help you. But I just had a lot of pride, and a lot of my ego got in the way of me trying to do better in my mental health. So that's where like the fatigue is coming in, and I've been dealing with that part. So like I said, I'm getting better, and I'm going to be here for you guys. I don't know that I can do 3 days a week all the time, but I can at least give you guys like 2 days a week, and and if I can bring back the Saturdays or the Sundays, I will. But at least during the week, I can definitely. And you guys will see. I will plan it out, and I will go through, and I'll get the times better. This is a workable time for right now, so people seem to be. Enjoy this time frame. 7 o'clock was too early for people. 8 o'clock worked better. So that's the reason why today's class was moved back to 8, because it was like you set it at 7, which was a good time, but for whatever reason, people were not too cool with that. So it's like, okay, that's fine. 8 o'clock, I can do it. No problem. Need to examine the contents of a column across many rows. The main reason for choosing a column family database is the ability to scale. Suppose you need to analyze U.S. stocks transactions over time. With daily trade volumes of over 6 billion records, processing that amount of data on a single database server is not feasible. I didn't even know there was a such thing as like a graph database. Okay, so he's speaking about a term called a node, okay? And this right here, he just kind of glossed over this term node, and I think that this is an important thing. If you come from a place where that term node doesn't make sense, I would tell you, you already know what a node is. It's just in this particular language. Let's translate it into something that we already know. Okay, so when you're looking at a file, okay, when he's talking about nodes, okay, if you were to look at this, Hazel represents a node. So what I think about that is like when you're looking at a folder, okay, let's say a folder on your desktop, and let's say that folder said Hazel, okay, everything that had to do with Hazel would be contained in that folder. Now that makes sense to you. If you're in this type of class, you already kind of have an idea about how computers work, so I don't need to tell you like how folder structure works, but when you're saying node, when you're looking at a file like back here, okay, if we were talking about a node, okay, and I was going through to search through this document, typically, okay, like if I was looking at an XML file, this is a JSON file, so it's a bit different, but if I were looking at a JSON file, which he doesn't have in here, I would be looking for this. So I would just go through and I would Control F, do this, and for example, and here if I were looking for the word Hazel, okay, typically like in an XML file, this is where you would find the node, and the node is an important part to not just glaze over. And I just think like when he went through here, he said each node can have multiple properties, meaning like Hazel belongs to this person and this person. So it's just saying like the file, if you will, can connect to multiple different other files. So I didn't want that to be glossed over. I just saw that and I'm like, I don't know that I would just like say, oh, okay, each animal is a node. What if the person doesn't know what a node means? So yes, that's true. Okay. So the arrow connecting nodes represents a relationship, which that part makes sense. I think anybody can like look at that and understand it. Relational models focus on mapping the relationship between entities. Graph models map relationships between actual pieces of data. Okay. Now I can see like when you're doing like the salary for like a database designer. Actually, let's look that up. Let's see what it is. So I can understand now why the salary for a database designer would be on the higher end, because this is, if you're going somewhere between 64,000 and then like the median for it is 82 grand. And then that makes sense because all that person is doing is working in this world of database design. And that person's responsibility is to go through and keep these databases clean. And so, you know, it's not like that person is taking incoming calls from customers. Like this person's job is to maintain the continuity of the database. So I can completely understand. And later on, we're probably going to get into like the legalities and the governances of what those people have controls of. I remember that in his class. as well, understanding what the database people do. So, okay, so online transactional processing. All right, this is just your warning that you have about 5 minutes left in this class. And then what we do after this is we come back after the break. We do a quick switch to just rapid questions. I usually set up 5 questions. And then once we get done with those 5 questions, you are out of here. It is a very quick thing. I don't know if we need to continue to keep doing it. But I at least wanted to put out that was the way that this particular study group was ran, so that you knew the structure of it. So we'll keep it until we find out later on if that's not working for people. But the breaks do work for people, because working for 45 minutes is a lot of time for most people to just sit down concretely and just work on just one set of things. So okay, so let's see if we can actually follow this while we have like 3 minutes left. So we know who the person is. We know the person is Alexander. So we know from Alexander, the cat, we know the cat, and we can look up, well, who does the cat belong to? And then from here, this will have all of the medications. I don't understand why they would have animal and a medication table and then a separate table for just medications. Okay. I can understand this, them like having an appointment, and then if they're going to have a table that corresponds with, like, if an appointment is set up and then, the cat's going to have a procedure of some form, that makes sense. The person, of course, this portion makes sense, and then you pull up the address. I think in one of our classes we actually had to put together like a transactional schema to try to understand, and I was getting a little confused with what we do on the like this the chicken feet versus like what it connects to. That's the only thing. Like, if you notice, like, I don't know if you guys can see it because it may be too small for you, but there is a chicken feet, right? And the chicken feet has a connection to it that has what I call like an arrow. So it has like the portions for an arrow, and that connects to another database. So in that process, You just can see it because you can see how they connect mentally and just kind of walking through the process. So at this point, we're going to put a flag in this because you guys have about a minute. I'm just going to finish out reading this. Okay. Sorry, talking about normalization. So I'm wondering what would happen if you had in your database and there was no information in the database per se that was going to assist you with doing something. If, like, let's say that they were missing a name. Like, let's say you enter it in a database if they didn't have a name. But we will leave that and pose that for later conversation. And this is where we will leave off. You guys have about 40 sub-seconds to get what you need to get done. And we're getting ready to transition into our break. And then when we come back, we're just going to go into the questions that come with the book. And I will be happy to get you guys off to that. Please enjoy your break. One thing that I've learned through this whole process that I'm going through, this journey I'm going through, is take the time that you need for yourself. So if you need to step away from the study group and you got what you needed already, completely understand that. Maybe the 5 minutes when you come back is not worth it for you. I understand that too. So I will see you guys back here shortly. Enjoy your break, and if you need anything, just leave it inside the chat, all right? Super loud. Back live. 5 minutes. Yep, in 5 minutes. We will be live back in 5 minutes. Not it, sorry. 50 seconds. All right. So, for those of you that are um, kind of trying to figure out what's going on, let's go ahead. I need to get the kind of the test up here for you. So bear with me for a sec, um, and then we'll get the test over here for you. So test looks like this. So we'll get it to the large side, and let's get out the way because as you can see, you got less than 5 minutes here. All right, so Mike works at an organization that makes heavy use of Microsoft products, including SQL Server databases, Windows Server, and other tools. He believes that his Microsoft license agreement may include an analytics suite that he can use. What suite is most likely included in this agreement? Power BI. Zayden is debating between a snowflake and a star schema design for a data warehouse. Which of the following is not a factor in his selection? I'm going to go degree of normalization. Hmm. Then it would. Oh, wow. Okay, so it is this, the number of records. Okay, let's move along. Z- Zaki is experimenting with home automation, reading the application program interface guide. He sees that commands can be issued in the following syntax. Gonna go JSON. One of the variations in Antonio's data set is shoe size. Which statistics can he use to identify the most common size? Range? Okay, so it is mode. Okay. All right. So it will give you a test. So just so you guys know, in case this is your first time ever seeing this, okay, being done, this is a way for you. This comes as part of the book, and you'll get the database. So this is worth doing. There's not a cost to this. You pay for it with the book, but they do give you the quiz portions. And once it gets done, you can go through and you can see like it's a data, like a bank of questions, like you do with any other exam. Okay, and it will tell you you can build out flashcards and do quiz builders. So, with that being said, I am going to give you guys some time back in your day, okay, and go ahead and end the stream early. But I do want to let you guys know I definitely appreciate everybody who took the time to reach out to me and um, just check and see how I'm doing. I am doing satisfactory right now. I am healing. I really want you guys to take care of yourself. I am planning the next one for Wednesday. Nothing pending. I'm going to put it up on the books so you can come in on YouTube or LinkedIn, wherever you watch this at, and we can study together at that time. All right. So I appreciate you guys spending some time with me, and I will chat with you later. Bye.